How's it going, everyone? My name is Nat Ross. I want to welcome you to today's episode. I have a very special guest with me today. It's a guy that is not only a great baseball player, but a great man, leader, and one of the hardest workers I've ever met. He's a senior at Boiling Springs High School, a Liberty University baseball commit, Maddex LaBuda. Maddex, thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. This is our first ever podcast type thing, so I don't really know how this is supposed to work, but we're just going to kind of get right into it and, just kind of talk shop and talk life and just hang out.
Deal.
So I really just want to kind of get in and start talking about your life. So let's start from the beginning. When you were a kid, what are some things that you enjoyed doing?
Grow up. I'm the oldest of four, so whenever I was bored when I was younger, I'd usually find something to do with my brother. We've kind of always been playing sports, whether it's been baseball, basketball. I remember flag football when I was younger. We always did soccer. We were just kind of falling in love with sports when we were younger. We always have. And we've both always have the competitive edge, and I think that's one of the things or at least I like about it. No matter what it is, whether it's like sports, whether it's school, no matter what, Mason and I, my brother, we've just been able to compete in everything I do. And I think that's why I'm not so successful, but so wanting to strive to be successful in everything I do, because we have that competitive edge. So ever since we were little, we challenge each other, whether it's the backyard and anything. Baseball, basketball was pretty much the main sports we rocked with. So as I grew up, I just kind of went back and forth between both those sports, whether it was dad taking me one place, mom taking me another place over the weekend, practicing on Mondays. And the programs we grew up in were phenomenal. Our high school's programs, the youth programs, can't speak enough about. They bring up kids and everything. Everyone loves it. The high school kids come down and say hi to them. It makes their day. Whether it's baseball, basketball, football, everyone loves everyone. And it's kind of like a smaller school vibe. It's what you get when you have a smaller school. But, I couldn't be happier for it.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Right there, that kind of explains that, your athletic ability right there, because, you're a tremendous athlete. You're a guy that will stand over there in the warmth area and just do backflips. And, everyone's always like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Like, no wonder he throws 94, like type of those things. So, no, man, what would you consider to be the biggest contributor to your athletic ability? I know that's such a broad question, but what would you consider to be like, hey, like, I think this really was key for me when I was young in developing?
I think one of the biggest things that people kind of sleep on is multi-sports. Like a lot of people, whether their parents push them for one sport the whole time, I think just having that versatility of doing like a bunch of different things and just growing up, not knowing what you want to do, just enjoy playing them. So whether it's this sport, whether it's this sport, whether it's this activity, just the constant bouncing back and forth, I think just kept me athletic. I have two parents who, they both played college sports, so give them a little bit of credit. I think I got a little bit athletic from them. And I just couldn't be more blessed to have this opportunity. Praising God for anything we do, and He's given us everything we could possibly imagine. And each day, I just try and make the most of it, be happy for it, and every step you make, you're getting 1% better every single day, and that's the goal.
Yeah, man. I think that's the biggest key, is that 1% better every day. No, that's great, man. So kind of going ahead now, you started FullReps in 2020, so it'll be 3 years ago. I'm going to kind of read off where you were at when you started. So, like I said, you came to us in 2020. You were right about like the 80 mile an hour mark. I was looking back at some of the video, and all the strikes were around 77, 78. And you try to let a few rip at the end, got like an 83, but it was like a 40-footer.
Yeah.
So I just want you to talk a little bit about that time in your life. back 2020 when you decided to come train with us, like where were you at, physically wise, ability wise? Kind of describe that time in your life.
To begin with that, we had my cousin, Maddex LaBuda. He started here a little before I did, and he spoke very, very highly of this. Every time we'd either see him up failing reunion or whether we'd see each other for baseball, he spoke very highly of this place. And we're like, all right, well, he's driving an hour and 30 minutes. This is closer for us. We might as well check it out. So we checked it out. We got the whole tour, see what the vibe is about here, and we loved it. And he said, this place is legit. So we took a chance, and we started here not knowing what I was doing, not knowing if I even wanted to be a pitcher or an outfielder, whatever. We just said, all right, let's do it. So the first time assessment came, had no clue how hard I could throw. Always kind of had a looser arm, a wilder arm, I guess you could say. Like, always threw pretty hard as a young kid, but got on the mound, like you said. I mean, anywhere from 78 to 83 to the top of the backstop or whatever. But I mean, I gave it all I had that time, and that was the starting point for all of this.
How old were you then? So 3 years ago, that would
have been 15, 16.
Yeah.
16. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
That's crazy too to think like, that would be Mason's age.
Yeah.
So like for those that don't know, he's got a little brother Mason who's another up and coming guy, that's, kind of like yourself, a little bit more of like a later bloomer. So we're extremely excited about him. But 3 years later, so now it's 2023. Now currently you're sitting about like 90, 92, up to 94.3, correct?
Something like that. 94.2,
94. Oh, I got right here. 94.2.
Yeah.
94.2. Yeah. So, and then one of the bigger things, which we're going to show the clip right now, is the 101.7 pull down, that was a fun time. I don't think anyone was really expecting it. We're just kind of push a little intensity, and then all of a sudden that flew out of your hand, and that kind of puts you up on our little leaderboard there, right underneath some big time names.
Might have been a 90% day too.
Yeah.
I think it was like a 3 or 5 pull down, just see what happens.
Yeah,
like, I'm feeling good.
Yeah, I think it was the biggest. Yeah, we didn't do any pull downs this off season, like a pull down day, like we have done in the past, and this is just kind of one of those after a max long toss. So that was exciting. But before we kind of get into some of kind of what's currently going on, I want to read off some short-term and long-term goals that you set 3 years ago. So short-term would be number one, which is a lot of people's, better mechanics, better sequencing. I don't think a lot of people put that better sequencing in there, though. I think that's smart. You're a smart man. And then the second one is just become the best player you can be. So obviously, I would say that stuff all got better. Like relatively, 3 years later, we're throwing 10 miles an hour harder. So I would say so. Long-term goals, get a scholarship for baseball, which you have, correct?
Correct.
Yep, at Liberty University, and then hit 100 miles an hour, which I love. And I guess you technically have hit 100 miles an hour. Technically.
I mean, you can count it as a pull down, but we're still working there.
We're still working there. Yeah, we got 6 miles an hour to go.
Yeah.
So, no, I mean, that's what I'm extremely excited about. And I think that you're going to be a guy that we're going to see a lot more of in the future, or, people that are viewing this, see more of in the future, especially on ESPN. So that'd be fun. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the process of you getting here. So getting you here in this chair today. So 3 years of development. Let's kind of walk through it a little bit. So let's kind of start with when you first came here. I know you talked, briefly about it, but what are some things that you were working on? So this is before my time. I've only been here for 2 years, so this was. You've been here longer than I have. So kind of give me a rundown of pre-Nat FullReps.
I guess you could say it started with the trainers all talking with me after that day. I mean, after hitting 83.4, I was like, I don't know what I was doing, and we kind of just adapted into the pitching program because, again, of what my cousin spoke of, not really knowing, hey, could I do this for infield, outfield, whatever. and I've always loved pitching, and I was like, all right, let's keep with it. So kind of getting to your point, I guess, as we were here, there's a couple differences that I can point out from now to here, but basically the same program and the same stuff has been all like exactly the same. The way they treat you when you're on the mound after every single pitch has been the same. There's always eyes on you. So whether you're working on the mound, whether you're working hitting on the hit tracks, no matter what, there's always going to be opportunity for growth, because if you have a question, if you have any type of problem, you can always ask them. So when I first started here, that's one thing that stuck out to me. Everyone was all on me, eyes on me, making sure I'm doing the right thing, which is, I mean, awesome. No matter how hard you try, sometimes you're not going to do the right thing, and you want to make sure you're getting the best of the day, getting the best of you that day. So after that, we kind of just transformed into like sat down, watched a video, watched my mechanics, and as we progressed, at least personally, I realized how much mechanics actually matter as a goal. Just setting it, not really knowing what it meant. You could try and throw it as hard as you can, but if you don't have a good mechanics, it's not going to be fast. Mm-hmm. So through going to the gym, through building mass, gaining weight, doing all this stuff, mechanically, keeping this program they've given me, whether it's water bag exercises, whether it's a throw day, a non-throw day, whatever, mechanically speaking, I've just felt like I've grown so much, and that's part of the reason my velocity has gone so high, because I've just been able to move better on the mound. Because if you look at our videos, sure, I might have done that, but I was completely raw. I didn't know what I was doing. I just went on the mound. I don't even think I had the same mechanics I do like windup as I do now. Nope. So yeah, we just kind of started from scratch and started climbing from there. And I mean, now that you're here, Eli's here, everyone else who works here, they've kind of embraced the same thing and added their own little twist on it. Add some competition to it. Add some maybe hit here, hit there. If not, you have to do a plank afterwards. Like make it a little more fun than just getting on the mound, throw a pitch.
Yeah. No. So you kind of touched a little bit on like the weight room. So the last 3 years, what is like the weight room meant to you, and like how do you think that's affected your growth and development? Because you're a guy, I will say, you're a guy that everyone loves to be around in the weight room, because you're the one that's hyping everyone up. Then you go quiet, you go stone cold, and you lift 1,000 pounds, and it's just like, it's unreal. So, and another thing is you lift it fast, which I absolutely love. So kind of describe like your relationship with the weight room and how that's helped your development.
When I first started, like I said, I was smaller, maybe 5'10", 5'9", and to me that was small. I probably was 170 pounds or something like that. And I'm like, all right, if you look at these college guys, MLB guys, they're 6'4", 220 pounds, whatever. Like, I'm like, all right, well, height's something you can't always change, but weight is. So through the program here, I've started learning a lot more about the body. I learned about what you need to put in it to grow, what you need to gain weight-wise, and how you need to eat and stuff. And I've kind of developed that into like almost a program for myself now, whether you're tracking calories, whether you're getting the right amount of stuff into your body, protein, carbs, all that stuff. So by hitting the gym 2 days a week in the program, we have Tuesday, Thursday lifts, and then realizing that, hey, after a Tuesday, Thursday, if you want to get one on the weekend, I started doing Saturday night lifts. And since the Tuesday, Thursday in here were often full body, I kind of chose another full body or an arms or a legs that day. And it was just a constant cycle, man. I mean, lifting in here, doing all that, lifting on the weekends, and it was repetition over 3 years now that got me to this point, 215 or whatever, however much I weigh. I think it's about 210, 215. Like, it's a constant of eating right, hitting the gym a lot, and knowing what you're doing. You talked about lifting a lot of weight, but so many people go in there just thinking, all right, first day, let me max out, see how much I can lift. It's not as easy as it sounds. Like,
yeah.
And the way you guys program the lifts are perfect, because it's not maxing out. Like, You're not going to be a power lifter. You're an athlete. Right. So lifting 500 pounds but hurting your back is not the best thing. So through the movement spectrum of the weightlifting program, I guess you'd say, it was key, because it kept us gaining muscle because we were pushing ourselves, but also put us in positions to where we were able to stay athletic, stay flexible. And that's one of the biggest things, especially for pitchers. You can lift all this weight you want, but if you don't stay flexible, your arm path might be shortened, your legs might not open up enough. So through lifting constantly for years, whether it's on the weekends, weekdays, whatever, and eating right and just knowing that this will work, not changing the plan, because you're never going to see results right away. If anything comes easy, I mean, this obviously isn't all easy. It takes lots of time.
Yeah.
So through knowing and being consistent in what you believe in, you're going to keep on growing. And again, having a place to do it like this is always a key, because it just makes it so much easier for success.
Yeah, I think you nailed it there. I mean, talking about like you're a person that has fully engulfed the non-linear approach to training. Like training isn't a straight line that goes up. There's just all these ups and downs and ups and downs. And I mean, you've been through it. I've been through it. I don't know a single person, honestly, that hasn't been through it, except for maybe someone that's 7 years old. So I think you touched on that, right on the nail. So, no, dude, that's money. So, kind of talking about health, then, let's get into a little bit of like health and durability. So, what's something that you contribute to you staying healthy all these years?
One of the biggest things were watching what I eat. As a kid, you don't really care. And I mean, you can say up to high school, you really don't even need to care, because whatever you eat, you just go through it. But knowing that I needed to get to this ideal weight in order to throw hard or do what I wanted to do, I had to do research. And that's through learning what you need to put in, what's good for you, what's not good for you. And then for the health side of things, how much can the body take to push to its limit but not overdo it? A lot of people will train and think they're getting better, but then end up hurting themselves because they have no game plan. They just train every single day and realize, all right, you overdid it for the body. Mm-hmm. So health wise, knowing how much food or calories I can intake on a day, whether that's having a certain amount for breakfast so I have time for dinner, because we're all school kids. We all have 8 hours of school or whatever. It's something you got to fit into your regimen, So after trying certain things, whether it's getting a bigger breakfast, bigger dinner, whatever, I kind of found the perfect style for me, and every athlete's different. And again, once I found that, you stay persistent with it. So as I grew and as I got older, you might change a little bit of it because you're growing. You're growing your muscles, you're growing into your shoes. Some people might have a growth spurt, and that's one of the biggest things you have to watch out, because with a growth spurt, you can hurt yourself. So it's all kind of getting feedback from your body. Yeah. Like one of the biggest things is when your body is aching, you have to see what's wrong. Like it's not, all right, just let me push through it or whatever. Like,
that's right.
Obviously your body's sending you that message for a reason.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of find what's with that. So,
yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, that's perfect, man. That's something that, I wrote an article about, a little blog post was, the body is smarter than the brain. And what I mean by that is a lot of times our brain, our thoughts are going to be like, oh, I can just push through this, or like, oh, this is hurting. That's okay. If I don't push through it, then I'm weak or whatever. And truthfully, our body is, like you said, sending us messages, and we do need to listen to it. Exactly like when we're throwing. Listen to your arm, listen to your body. How are you feeling? And that's something too. I actually kind of want to go back a little bit to the weight training, where you touched on, like said, kids will go in day one and try to, max it out. Mm-hmm. I think that's so important because we see that all the time. Even here, man, like kids will day one, they're just like, oh, like we call it ego lifting.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to, have fun in front of their friends, or we'll have kids even here where they'll skip a weight room day and they'll go lift with friends, and they'll come back to you. I lifted with friends, and it's like, oh, what'd you do? Well, I did this, and it's just kind of like, all right, like that's fine. That can be fine, but a lot of times what happens is they'll get hurt. They don't feel great. All these their body starts to crumble down because ego lifting. So I think it's so important that, like, you're a prime example here of it took you 3 years to get to this point. You're lifting the house right now, but last year like you were lifting a lot, but nowhere near to how as much as you were now. And it's just like that growth. And that's something, I've seen for the last 2 years is that steady growth. And I mean, you've grown tremendously too, height wise, muscle wise, all that. But no, man, great. So let's talk a little bit about, you were talking about multiple sports being younger. I want to talk a little bit, in relation to the health wise, about when you were playing basketball. Because you stopped playing basketball when? Was it you didn't play basketball this season?
I played freshman, sophomore, junior, and I didn't play senior.
Yep. So, obviously that's a tough decision to make, but I just kind of want to see, let's talk about when you were playing basketball. Like, obviously we're in a cold weather climate. Basketball season runs right into baseball season. So what did that kind of look like, and how did you keep yourself healthy? Because I think that's something that we see a lot now is, kids just jumping right into baseball season, fresh out of basketball season, which, like, you got to do what you got to do. But what's a way that you really help yourself to keep you healthy and throwing hard at the same time?
It definitely was a challenge. I mean, I don't know if it's like needed, but through basketball, you obviously can't stop your program here. Like, you want to keep your arm live. Now, there's certain days you might not be able to do it because you have, away game or something like that pretty far away. But that's something that I've always communicated with you guys, and I loved it because whenever I had a question or whatever and I couldn't get in here, I'd text one of the trainers here, and they'd get back to me and say, all right, this is what I think you should do. So through basketball, it was a sport I've always loved. Like, it's not something like as a freshman you could be like, I'm just training baseball, so there's no need to do it. Like, it's good. It keeps you athletic. It allows you to not only like be fast, it'll help with your vertical, it'll help with everything, which is all good for baseball. Like, you don't just want to be a taller, stagnant guy on the mound. It keeps you balanced, and that's one of the biggest things with balance. I know so many people burn themselves out with just one sport because that's their entire life, and if they don't have a good season or whatever, they're like, man, all down. So basketball for me was, I mean, the 3 years I did it through high school and leading up to that, from when I was little all the way up to it, was great. And as I started here, as you said, in 2020, it was kind of a, I guess you could say, like a game changer, because I learned how to cope with certain sports in certain seasons, and that helped with a lot of other stuff too, learning how to cope with time management for schoolwork and sports and all that stuff. So through the season, obviously, it's not perfect. You're going to miss days. You're going to miss throwing activities because you're not 100%. And then injuries come into play with that. If you ever get injured, it could screw up a little bit, but that's all part of the thing. So I think freshman year, excuse me, I think freshman year, I wasn't here yet because this was before the baseball season. And then sophomore year, I learned through the season, it was my first time doing full reps and basketball. It definitely wasn't easy, but we learned, hey, if pack practice is a couple, like later at night, maybe 6 to 8, can I come in here, get and work in? Not push myself to exhaustion because I know I have basketball, but still get the right amount of work in for your arm. And then junior year, since I've already went through this, I was like, all right, I know how to do this. And obviously I made a big jump from sophomore to junior year in velocity and everything. So I was like, all right, I can't go screw off now. I have to like stay regimented on my plan. So junior year was a bigger year for me because I kind of put this not as a priority over basketball, but I had to make sure I was doing everything right in here before basketball, because usually we'd be 6:30 to 8 or whatever. And I know if we get out of school at 2:45, plenty of time to come here, go straight to basketball. Sure, it's exhausting, but that's what you sign yourself up for. I mean, you're trying to get the most out of you, and what better way to do baseball and basketball every single day?
Yeah. So like during that time, what did like a training day kind of look like? So obviously, during that time, we're not doing a whole lot in here because it's we're trying to respect that you're playing basketball. We don't want to kill your body. You got games. You got to tear it up on the court. So like, what did that kind of time look like for you? Like obviously there's some like weightlifting days here and there, but like the throwing wise, what did that look like during the season? If you can remember, I know that was a while ago.
So any days I knew I had an away game is always the hardest to get in here because if you leave right after school, games at 4:30, whatever, it could be an hour away. You know you're not going to get time. So one of the biggest things for me is, especially when I was a junior, I was able to get off. We do block scheduling for high school, so I would be able to get off because I do an online college class. And because I have an online class, I'd either be able to get in here, or if I couldn't make it, I'd be able to do the stuff at home. So getting that extra time was huge. And even the days I didn't have it, I was like, all right, what do I have here? A lot of times with the basketball team, we do lifting. So I'm like, all right, if we lift with them, there's no need to lift in here. Same thing. I just follow the program. Rowing wise, the most important thing was that each day I did something with my arm. I got my arm moving. And certain days, like we said, there's going to be water ball exercises. If you're at a basketball game, you can't do that. But the most out of it was, say you get home late or whatever, if you just need to get your throwing in, get some bands, do whatever, just get your arm moving, flowing. And that was the biggest thing because obviously you're tired after a basketball game. So any days you can get it in earlier is best. And we do 20 games a season, 10 home, 10 away. So we already know that the home games and then every other practice day, we're going to have time to get there. So I was able to practice here or train here and then head straight to basketball, which kind of was the normal for me.
Yeah, and that's like a lot of times, guys. You didn't use the throwing sock, right? No. So a lot of times, like now, we'll give a guy like a throwing sock to throw in, but you built a firewall though in your garage. Yes. So that's that's where you got your work in. Late at night, it's like, all right, you're already warmed up pretty much. So a couple bands, couple of these bad girls. No, not really, but then you just throw files. So like you said, it's just all about like getting something in, and kudos to you because you've stayed healthy, you've continued to grow, in your development during baseball while you were dominating on the court. You're dropping like what, 20 a game?
Something like that.
Something like he's trying to be humble here. Something like that.
But so the biggest thing was with talking about persistent and just working hard and being consistent with everything. Not changing a warm-up plan was also really, really big for me. For basketball, if you think about it, if you're training for basketball, your warm-up's probably pretty much the same every single day. You make sure you're ready, do your dynamic warm-up, whatever. So anytime before I throw, it wouldn't just be like all right, straight to bands, plyos, I'm good. Like, I'd make sure I'm ready. Sure, after a basketball game, you're ready and stuff like that. But if the days that I'd train first, I'd keep the warm-up the same because once your body does something for long enough, it adapts to it. So if you keep on doing the same warm-up, you'll be good. And if you ever don't do it, there's a chance of getting hurt. So basically, trying to make sure I did the same warm-up, whether that's a dynamic warm-up, bands, plyos, then throw, whatever your routine is, keeping that the same was one of the biggest things for me. My body was able to adapt, be used to it, and be ready to go.
I love stuff like that too because it's for you, man, that's what worked, and it's like something we don't want to change. If it's working, why reinvent the wheel, right? No, that's perfect, man. So kind of going into training. So when you walk into the door every day, what's your mindset? How do you approach every day?
Every day has its own goals and opportunities. You can't PR every single day. Right. So whatever's on the game plan, whatever on the day, you get the most out of it. And you're not going to push yourself to exhaustion every single day. But say you have hybrid with water ball exercises, and the next day you have a light catch play. You're going to be able to go a little harder in the hybrid than the catch play. So when you walk in here, again, keeping the warm-up the same, whatever's on the board, whatever's on the program, do that. Then go straight to whatever you normally do. For us, it was bands and weighted balls. Then go to long toss. And no matter what the day was, that's what we kept the same. So everything to me was the same up to that. And then whatever the plan was for the day, that's what we do. So mindset-wise, knowing, all right, whatever's today, we're going to keep everything leading up to it the same. And then if it's a catch play, just nice, easy catch. If it's a hybrid day, go through exercises and get the most out of it. And then if it's a mound day, work on, because you can only be on the mound so much. It's not an everyday thing.
Yeah.
So make the most out of what you can.
Yeah. No, that's important, man. I think what you hit on there of understanding what the goal is for that specific day is so important, because I think a lot of guys will want to come in here every single day and they look at that velo board, or they look at the velo board in there, and then they come in, they look at the radar gun. It might be set up. Sometimes we don't like to set up the radar gun because we know some guys are going to get antsy when they're playing catch.
Exactly.
They're going to walk over here, and we're going to not be paying attention, talking to someone over there. And we're going to turn around and we'll see like a 95 up there. Hey, like you did that yesterday. No, no, that's so important. So let's talk game day. Game day. So obviously you're still playing. You're in playoffs now. When you wake up in the morning and it's game day, what's that day look like for you?
As soon as I wake up, again, whether it's shower, whatever, for breakfast, it's the same thing for me.
Yeah, so I was about to say, you superstitious?
Kind of keeping the same morning routine, but for breakfast, get a good breakfast in. Make sure before that you got a good night's sleep. Obviously, sleep is like one of the best forms of recovery. Yep. So the first thing was make sure you get the right amount of sleep in. Mm-hmm. And then when you're ready for the day, whether that's you have school in the morning, whether that's say you have cyber and you're doing work, whatever that is. For me, it was school. So I'd wake up, breakfast.
What's your breakfast? Sorry to cut you off.
Usually I like a little bit of sugar at some point with it, because you got to get good carbs for the day. Carbs fuel the body, gets the energy. Get some protein, get a little bit of sugar just to get you ready for the day. I mean, you wake up, it's kind of like a cheap version of like caffeine. Exactly.
Yeah.
So usually I'd rock with like a bowl of shredded wheat, because for some reason when you check it, a couple cups of that is enough. It's a good amount of protein and not a lot of fat for me, which was perfect. There was a lot of sugar on that, so it got me ready. Yep. And then I'd have a protein bar or whatever. So that took care of the protein. And then if I wanted some extra carbs, I'd have toast, a bagel, something like that. And that'd be enough to sustain me, because obviously we had to go to school. Yeah. So after I'd go to school for however long, whether I had a college block like online, I'd get to come home early, or I had to go the full 8 hours or whatever. Mm-hmm. Then once I'm home, I'd refuel again, get a lunch. If I didn't have it at school, if I did, then get a little pregame meal. And one of the biggest things for me with pregame meals is I learned that the more protein you have before a workout, the worse. And I learned that through the hard way. But
Wait, what's the hard way?
It doesn't go well, I guess you could say. Your stomach kind of.
I didn't know if you were just over there at that trash can just yakking.
It's not the greatest idea. So we learned that like a nice little carb-loaded thing right before the game gives you energy and keeps you ready to go. And then once we finished up with that meal, make sure you packed up, got everything, head to the game. Obviously, you get to the game way early, whether it's an hour early or whatever. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people will go throw a pen and then go through VP and then sit with their coach or whatever and then go play the game. And like, you don't want to warm up and then get ready to throw and then not throw for another hour, because the game's not till a certain time. Yeah. So for me, I'd basically get there, I'd go through a warm up, like get my body ready, hit if I'm hitting, whatever. But I would wait on throwing until, whenever it's closer to game time, that's when you turn up. So that's when you'd start the bands, plyo balls, the long toss, whatever. Then once it's getting really, really close to game time, then you can go throw your pen and then get ready for the game. Because just like in here, you're not going to warm up, then long toss, and then sit for an hour, and then go throw. You go right into it. So talking about being consistent again, sure, it's not in the facility, but the closer you can keep this every single day you come into this facility, the closer you can keep what you do here to the game, the better you're going to perform, because your body's used to it, your body's feeling the same, like it's adapting to it. So that's something I've done every game day, and it's worked for me.
Yeah, I think that's key, man. Is we'll see that when we'll have some kids come in and be like, my arm's feeling a little tender, and it's like, all right, like what's your warm up look like? I do the warm up with the team, like a little jog, couple of these bad girls, couple of those, couple like aren't like leg swings, and then they rip long toss, and then all of a sudden it's like 5 pitch bullpen, and they're in the game. It's like, okay, hold on, like we have a very specific warm up, and any type of mobility that you need, specific mobility, and then from there, it's plyos, bands, whatever else you need that you feel like you need, plyos, long toss, kind of work into it. And I think a lot of kids miss out on like a good dynamic mobility activation. Plyos, that's been a big one. I think a lot of guys are starting to kind of get on that because we've been harping on guys of you got to do what we've been doing for months. And it's like when you're in here, you sign a yearly contract, and we expect you to continue to do that throughout the season. And that's huge.
And that's on you. I mean, it's up to you if you want to keep it the same or take a chance. There's only so much trainers in here can do for you.
Yeah, we're stuck in here. We're stuck in this box. Even though it's beautiful, we're still stuck in it. So like, it's unfortunate. I would love to be out there with every single guy. That's not going to be realistic. Eventually, every once in a while we'll get to go see someone. And like, we've come to watch you a couple times this year, and it's like, it's great because then we can give you feedback from your warm up to the plyos to the time that you start your bullpen to going out to the mound, pitch sequencing. Like that's great, and I wish we could do that for everyone. But yeah, it's on that individual to carry out that program. I'm out.
You're good.
So mentality. Let's talk a little bit about mentality. So, we've had a lot of good long talks about this. So I kind of want you to just take me through, like, once you step on that diamond, like what's going through your head? How are we attacking?
The biggest thing is, like you said, as soon as you step on that field, it's game time. So as a pitcher, you pretty much got a job, and that's your only job. Get your team either a good ground ball, strike the kid out, whatever, get through the inning. So every batter, for me, when I'm on the mound, I don't really think, sure, people can get in their head about, oh, this kid's really good, this kid's not good, the 9-hitter's not as good as the first hitter. No matter what, as you grow, as you get better, you're going to verse better hitters. So each batter, I think, all right, how can I dominate? I'm better. No, thinking whether I am or not, thinking yourself that you're better is key because it gives you confidence.
Yeah.
And baseball is very, very mental. If you don't have confidence, it's not set up great for you. So having confidence in yourself that you can beat the batter, and then how are you going to do it? Whether it's the first time up, feeling your pitches, get him out, whatever. Say he gets a hit or fouls one off, next at bat, remember, hey, what pitch was that he hit? What pitch did he get a single? What did he foul off? What did he look like he swung? And then obviously having a catcher communicating back and forth with you, having good chemistry there is huge. Because for me this season, a lot of times my catcher and I, we had really good chemistry, but we disagree on a pitch. And sometimes I disagree, shake it, throw another pitch, they'd get a hit, that's on me. Sometimes I would shake it, give me the same pitch, I'd throw it, that's on him. But having that happen gave us the chance to be like, okay, think about it. Why did that happen? Was he sitting on that pitch, whatever? And that's obviously off the mound because in between innings, you got time to think about that. But when you're on the mound, I know one of the things in here I think about, say I'm not throwing as hard as I want to be. You're like, one of the biggest things you guys tell me, don't think about it. Don't think about mechanics, don't think about corkscrewing down, don't think about anything. You're just on the mound, throwing your pitches. Like the last thing you need to be thinking is mechanical. In basketball, you're shooting a 3, you're not thinking, all right, make sure it's my last 2 fingers on every single shot. You're just shooting. If you hesitate, chances are you're not going to make it. It's the same thing with pitching. Like, you can't be afraid, but you also don't want to think too much. Like we said about mental, baseball is very, very mental. And the more you get in your head, you take yourself out of the game really, really easy. So again, back to your point of mentality, having confidence up there and knowing that you're better and you can win the at-bat, that's a biggest thing for me on the mound.
Yeah, that's so key, man. And when someone does get a hit, which is gonna happen, you can't win all of them. Like you tip your cap, and then it's the next pitch. That's kind of one of the biggest things that that I always say is next pitch.
Yep.
Tip your cap. They get a hit. Next one. No, that's awesome, man. So talking about the team now, let's talk a little bit. Actually, let's talk about recruitment. So obviously, like we said, you're going to Liberty University. Talk to me a little bit about how that kind of occurred, because you signed very late, right? This past summer.
Yeah.
So as a rising senior is when you committed to Liberty. So kind of walk me through that process, because I mean it's a crazy story. So fill me in. Let's do it.
Like how we said, we started here in 2020, 3 years ago. And up to that point, never played a travel ball. I mean, you can go back to maybe 12, 13 years old, whatever, play like a local travel team or something like that, but that's not like big deal, You're not going to get D1 coaches coming to like a local travel team, whatever. So up to this point, I haven't played a single bit of travel ball. And when I started here, obviously I wasn't to the point of what my goals were, throwing 100, whatever, being the best pitcher I can, wanting to get a college scholarship. Where I was when I started here wasn't going to cut it. 82, 80, 78, whatever. That's not going to get you to what I aspired, basically. Mm-hmm. So instead of going out, playing travel ball, 9th, 10th, whatever, I was just training here. So after high school season, I'd go straight into off-season mode, and through the summer, all the way up to the winter, just train here. Every single day of the week, hitting the gym, doing the right things for your program, trying to work mechanically. And I think through that is where I probably made the biggest growth spurt. Like, you went from obviously we gained 10 miles an hour over the past couple of years, but starting at, I think, top 83, and then the next year topping like 87 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't just happen by chance.
No.
Obviously, I didn't grow too much. Sure, I put on weight, but that doesn't give you 4 miles an hour. So I think the biggest thing for me was knowing, hey, I'm not good enough yet, but I can catch up to people. Because talking about working hard and putting yourself out there to be the best every single day, you're going to get the most out of it.
Yeah.
And knowing that there's someone out there, like kind of in my head, to me, I think there's always someone out there working harder than me. So every single time I'm doing something, I'm like, all right, there's a person out there doing the same thing. I got to do this extra rep. I got to do this right thing and getting the most out of it. So from 9th grade, 10th grade to the 11th grade, the junior summer, the one that everyone always talks about, I trained just here, gaining velo, working on mechanics. And then once I was ready, or you could say good enough to be seen by coaches, I got an opportunity to go pitch for USA Prime National. Just a chance to see what I got. Went out there, did my thing on the mound, and was very lucky that the coach wanted me to play the rest of the summer. And then as the summer grew on, I played at tournaments down in North Carolina, Georgia, all this stuff. And there were coaches out the wazoo. I mean, you're going from a kid who never was in front of a college coach in his entire life.
You never had someone standing back there with a radar gun.
And man, it's kind of nerve-wracking. I mean, you got people back there radaring every single pitch. You're like, oh shoot, maybe I didn't throw that as hard. Oh shoot, I didn't. But yeah, as that junior summer came up, I just started playing better and better and better. And I talk with you guys, be like, hey, these guys are veloing me. I might not be able to. I'm not throwing as well as I want. Or hey, it's getting in my head because they're recording everything I do, and I'm not used to this. And that's where I think I made one of the biggest growth spurts, is the body adapt to that. Like, you can't really train for that. No. Sure, you got velo here every single pitch, but you don't have D1 scouts sitting here.
No,
so
not all the time, no.
I got really frustrated after my first outing.
Yeah.
Sure, I might have, I think I did PR. I think I hit 90 for the first time, my first outing, which was awesome for me. Yeah. But I didn't pitch phenomenal. And I was like, man, I was lucky they still wanted me, but I was mad at myself because I didn't get the best out of myself that day.
Yeah.
And I went back, talked to my dad, talked to you guys. I was like, man, this stuff's getting to me. And then my dad reminded me, like, hey, you're in front of coaches, but guess what? This is what you wanted. Like, you want to play college baseball. If you're at a college game, there's going to be people there. Like, this isn't just a high school small game anymore. Like, this is a big stage. So as the season grew on, I gained more confidence. I continued to do what I do throughout the summer, and each outing I got a little bit better. And each outing, I looked back at whether I write it down in a journal or whatever, see what I did the best on, and see what I need to work on. Each time I learned that, I knew it. Obviously, on the mound, you're not thinking, oh, I need to throw this because last time I didn't do that. But you're growing. So each outing got a little bit better, and it got to the time where I was in front of coaches that I wanted to play for. And I mean, it just clicked. Like, I went out there, I think it was like a win or lose game, like a single elimination. If you lose, you go home. If you win, you move on. And I got the start. I think before that, I left my cleats the night before at a field. So I was already super hectic in my head. Like, I was like, man, this is great. I have to be throwing right now, and I don't even have cleats. I think we went to a store off the turnpike in Georgia where they got me $30 like molded cleats or something like that, my size, and they ended up being football cleats. And I got to the game, and I was like, you know what, this is gonna work. Like, you can't let it work, or you can't let it like disrupt you of what you normally do. So I go through my warm up. I'm not thinking about anything else other than, all right, my coaches are here. I got to throw well. And then comes to it, my coach says, hey, I can actually wear metal cleats on the mound. So after doing all of that, I was like, oh my gosh, but now's the time to go. So as soon as I put the cleats on, I was like, all right, because it was a turf mound, and you're not supposed to wear metal, but coaches were like, go ahead. So I got that thought out of the back of my head, and I was just like, all right, game time. Get on the mound, first inning, perfect. I think I hit 93 that first inning, which was like the biggest PR of my life. And I was like, holy crap. Obviously, I didn't know at the time. All I knew is the fans were cheering everything, and I felt like I was throwing hard. Like, sometimes you feel a little more amped up than before. And the rest of the game kept on going. It kept on throwing, doing everything. And I think I went 5 innings or whatever, anywhere from 88, 93, whatever, couple hits, 1 run or something like that. I don't know what it was, but it was my best outing of them all. And it was perfect because it was in front of the coach. So after that game, I got back to the hotel, whatever, and I talked with a couple of you guys, talked to a couple trainers, whatever, and a couple days later, I was like, holy crap, this is all happening to me right now. Like, I was getting texts from coaches.
Your phone was blowing up.
I was getting calls. I was like, holy crap, just because I threw a ball 93 and I did well, I got everyone on me. And like I said, going back to a kid never playing travel ball before, this was crazy. Like, I couldn't even go to bed. I was like, all right, I got to get back to this. Dad, look, this coach is calling me. Look, this coach is calling. What do I do? And I've never been on the phone. I've never talked to a coach before. So I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. So after that summer, I came back here, told you guys, told everyone, like, hey, what do I do? Like, I just did what I've always known, is throw to the best of my ability. And now all of a sudden, everyone's like, holy crap, we want you. And
you were unknown.
Exactly.
You had no numbers, no PBR, no perfect game, no nothing.
When you don't play travel, no one knows your name.
You were nobody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And once I got to the point, I was like, all right, guys, I need your help, because I've only done what I've always done, is get the most out of the day and work as hard as I can. And that's gotten me to this point. I don't know what else to do. Like, I don't know how to talk to a coach and say, hey, I want to play here. So over the winter and stuff like that, I learned how to talk to a coach. I learned how to take calls, what to say, what not to say. And after a little bit, I mean, it got to the point where I got a call from a Liberty coach, and I mean, it was a dream come true. I mean, that's the place I wanted to go to, and him setting up a visit with me, it was awesome. Went down there, loved the facility. Everything they had there was perfect to me, because I wanted to keep on getting better. Sure, Liberty's great, but that's not only the end goal. I want to keep getting better. I want to keep on doing the best I can. And from a developmental standpoint, they had everything I wanted. And the coaches were very, very nice to me, very welcoming. And after that, I mean, it was set in stone. Got the recruitment, made the call, and that was that.
Yeah, man. And it just made us so happy because of all the years, all the hard work that you put in over the last 3 years, and because you continued to be like, I want to go to Liberty. I want to go to Liberty. I remember last year, it was just kind of like, I don't know, man. Like, you keep going. Like, we got to keep going, but clock's ticking. Yeah. Clock's ticking. Like, we got to get in front of them, but you can't get in front of them with where you're at now. Like, say you're upper 80s, and it's like maybe, but it's late in the game. Yeah, man. Like, that was probably so satisfying for all of us, just because it's like, I don't know. I'm getting chills like thinking about it, man.
It's hard work paid off.
Yeah, and it just makes us all so happy for you because for us, that's why we're here. Like, we're not here for ourselves. We have nothing in this. Like, it's all about you guys. Everyone that steps through that door, like, that's our mission. So, like, for you to grind and get to where you want to go is incredible, and it's even better because job's not done. I can't wait to continue to go.
I mean, yeah, like I said, it goes pretty much back to the drawing board of like getting the most out of every single day.
Yeah.
And I came in here, never did anything before, no travel ball or anything like that. I just knew, all right, I have goals and I want to hit them. So to any of those kids who out there who don't even know how hard they throw, don't know whatever, if you just get with the right training program, and I mean, you write down what you want to do. And I think writing down the goals was huge because it's not just like saying you did something, like, and then forgetting it. Having them written down, whether it's on your bedroom door, whether it's in a journal, and seeing them reminds you of like, this is what I'm training for. This is what I want to do. And through hard work, consistency, doing the best you can every single day, you can get to the point the same as me, same as every other guy who gets their dreams to come true.
Yeah. Oh. Well, I mean, dude, it's been a great time. I don't know how long we've been going now. It's been probably 40 minutes. I don't know. I'm gonna check the phone. Hopefully the phones didn't shut off on us, because there's a good shot, I think. I'm a little nervous about that. But and then that's pretty much everything I got for you. I mean, there's so much more that we can continue to talk about. I have so much more written down, but I think that kind of wraps it up for the day. Is there anything else you want to say?
I mean, this has been an honor. This place is like a home to me now. As he said, my brother's here. He's now training, and I mean, this is everything I ever wanted. I mean, going from a kid who never really knew what was happening, never knew what I was doing, just working hard, obviously under the influence of knowing I can do anything I've ever wanted to do. I mean, this is the best thing I ever wanted, and knowing that God's with you through everything, by your side, and your parents are by your side, and if your parents are by your side, your trainers are by your side, your family's by everyone, just the welcoming environment that I was brought up to, I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, so, man. I mean, I just want to say thank you for allowing us to be a part of your journey. I mean, that's what an honor it is to be, with you through this marathon.
Well, I appreciate everything as well.
Yeah, man. Let's keep going. Job's not done.
Yes, sir. Job's not done.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I guess until next time, I don't know. We'll find out. All right.